So I can give you guys a little bit more detail about, what things were like in the war room. First of all, when two entities are in an account at the same time, trying to make changes at the same time, things can get a little janky. And one of the reasons that I wasn't able to lock things down was that I immediately went for, okay, the 2FA is compromised, right? Okay, it's got to be the 2FA is compromised. They've got to be in the account. But because the account that was breached was not linustechtips@gmail.com, not the actual channel owner account, all of the attempts that I was making,
resetting that 2FA, all that kind of stuff does nothing.
Not just that, okay? Not just that. Not only was resetting 2FA and resetting a password not helping, but even revoking all the devices that were logged in was not helping.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people, I think, in their responses to this don't realize. Like, Linus, as soon as you realized something was wrong, why didn't you just revoke every signed-in device? Because it didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
And so, and you got to remember, too, it's 3:30 in the morning. I have foggy, I've been sleeping brain. I am laser focused on figuring out how to secure my 2FA because I think that it's pretty, self-explanatory that I don't have a completely separate two-factor authentication system for every single account, right? So the YouTube account was not the only thing I was concerned about. So I'm sitting here going, I'm checking other accounts. Is anything else compromised? Is anything else breached? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to lock them out of LTT. The LTT account was not how they got in. Then I realized I don't know how to use the content manager system.
Yeah.
I didn't set it up. Colt set it up. And I don't know. Maybe I should have just called him in the middle of the night, but I didn't. Because I thought, okay, I can probably figure this out. It's just a matter of like resetting passwords and lock it down. But it took me a while to figure out how to manage who has access to a particular channel through Content Manager. Then, and this is something I didn't want to throw at YouTube at the time because it just didn't feel constructive. Once I did figure out how to lock people out, whether it's a flaw of the system, whether it's because our account had been flagged in some way, I couldn't lock it down. Even once I knew. So the way it works is with your, Linus Media Group email, you're assigned a role, some kind of role that gives you varying levels of access to the various channels. And the Linus Tech Tips one, because it has so many people who work on it, even in an uploader capacity, because like the business team, for example, uploads sponsored videos. The writers upload non-sponsored videos. Like there's all these different workflows and there's all these different reasons that a lot of people do need to have some level of access to it. The Linus Tech Tips one has quite a few people that have some role or another. And because I had finally figured out the vector, I was trying to lock it down and it would time out every single time. So even once I knew.
Yeah, that one's rough.
That's why the additional channels went down. Even once I knew, I couldn't stop it. And now, fortunately, as we made our way into the smaller channels, there were fewer and fewer people who had roles and we were able to lock them down. That's why we only lost LTT, TechLinked, and TechWiki. Because obviously these scammers wanted to go for the biggest channels first. It's a good question. There were a few things that were very confusing to me, especially because I wasn't familiar with this sort of attack where they hijack your session token from your browser and then act like they are your browser, even though they're accessing it from somewhere else. Now, here's something that I'm really confused about because I've encountered this on many accounts. And unfortunately, I've never thought about it, so I don't know if I've ever seen it on a Google account. But when you access a service with a token that was created somewhere...
So IP stuff. So as far as my understanding goes...
Like, are they just VPNing through somewhere that they think is probably close to me and hoping that the token will last? Or
I did see that when looking through a bunch of logs and stuff, I did see that certain device connection things were coming from Vancouver, Canada.
I see.
I don't know if all of them did. I remember at one point in time talking about a device connecting from a certain country, but I don't know if we were the person and I that were talking. I don't know if we were just like using that as, you know, a country that's far away.
Yeah.
Or if that was actually a connection that happened.
Right.
But I don't know that Google, I have heard from other people, but this is entirely hearsay at this point, so I really don't want to claim it as anything.
Yeah.
That Google doesn't really do IP checks on those cookies.
Right.
Because the conversation that I had with this person was they were going, wow, I'm always surprised that Google doesn't do this because all these other services do.
Well,
but I don't know if that's true.
It makes sense. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, if the geographical location changes dramatically, then it's kind of a no-brainer. But if they're VPNing,
if they're coming into Vancouver
through somewhere close to you, then I mean that could be something as simple as, you know, switching from your Wi-Fi to your friend's Wi-Fi. You don't want to log back into everything.
We do know that. Oh yeah, no, okay. There was definitely one connection that happened from Germany, for sure. We saw that.
Right.
That's I don't know if that had anything to do with the Google accounts or anything else, though. I know that happened at one point
Right.
for one thing. If any of the Google accounts, and that one that came from Germany was from a VM provider in Germany. Very trackable.
Right.
In my opinion, it would.
You mean
be,
VPN provider?
What did I say?
You said VM provider.
Yeah, I meant VPN. Sorry, a little. He got it. We got there. If they used a VPN provider,
Yeah.
to get to a node that's in Vancouver, personally, I would throw crazy red flags on an account that went from its rough location to pretty close to its rough location.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Netflix can do it.
Yeah, like make them re-log in. You don't have to like, you know, go nuclear, but just make them re-log in.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, maybe don't, you know what? Maybe don't even make them have multiple factors. Or maybe make that something you can configure. But do something.
Make them do 2FA or something, yeah.
Or don't
Like
make them do 2FA.
their TOTP code or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe just make them put in a one-time code.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would consider that to be something.
Just some form of like, hey, something weird happened. Are you good?
Yeah, we couldn't help
You good,
noticing.
bro? Yeah.